Hey everyone! Old school Pokemon here, back again with the PokeFlipz premiere, joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. How we doing today, Dan?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing it good. Excited for this next episode. We have a very special guest joining us after the premiere. If you want to do the big reveal, who our next guest is going to be.
He's right above my shoulder here. We have Mr. Walrus himself. We will be live immediately following this premiere. You will be funneled right into that live stream where we will have Mr. Walrus for a live Q&A, as we always do. So really looking forward to that. Before then, we have one question to get to, and then Nick will also describe a new segment that we've already talked about once but forgot to do. So yeah, we'll cover that before we get into the live stream as well. But yeah, Pokey Martin on the last episode had a question for next podcast. If you had to open $500 worth of Pokemon product, what would you open? What if it had to be plus EV? So plus EV, maybe I'm cheating a little bit if I'm allowing a little bit of grading to be done if your promos get lucky and your promos are in good shape. But right behind me here, Charizard UPC. That would be one portion of my answer for the first half of the question, but that would be the best answer, I think, for the second half of the question. Other than that, there's probably like some niche-y deck that's out there right now, or some, historically speaking, in Pokemon, I've found collection boxes or tins that have plus EV, and I've broken them down, sold the packs, sold the promos, whatever. So yeah, Charizard UPC is probably right in that vicinity, right in that conversation, but there's probably something else niche that Nick might give in his answer. But going back to the $500, if I had $500, I would look for like a variety. And this is just like collector boy Dan, not investor, not in speculation, just ripping product to have a good time. I would still include one Charizard UPC. I would open a Celebrations ETB because I love that set. I love the Gold Star Greninja. And then I would do some Crown Zenith. And other than that, I would probably just fill out my budget with those. You got the nice Moonbreon hunt with the Evolving Skies packs in the Charizard UPC. You've got the beautiful Galarian Gallery of the Crown Zenith set. I would get some ETBs for that, or tins or whatever. And then, yeah, Celebration's just a beautiful set, recapping the 25-year history of Pokemon and Charizard Chase and all that. So those are my two answers to those questions. What about you?
So for me, the first part of the question, what product would be for fun? I would honestly do an Evolving Skies booster box. And the reason why I say that is because from the Sword and Shield era, Evolving Skies was the one set that I never did a mass opening for. I've never opened a booster box of Evolving Skies.
Wow.
Now with the pricing, I probably never will, because I know the hits are tough with Evolving Skies. But if I was handed $500 to spend on Pokemon product, that would be the first one I do. And then after that, with the extra $100 or whatever, I hadn't thought about that, but I like Dan's idea of the Celebrations ETB. Probably go for that with the extra $100 or so. So those would be the two opening for fun ones for me.
I like that answer. I didn't expect that at all. Not whatsoever.
I told you were going to be surprised by it. And then if it had to be plus EV, I struggled with this a bit. Semi recently though, there were the 2022 World Championship decks. And I've never been one to buy the World Championship decks, break them down, and sell the individual cards. I know Rusty TCA Gaming used to do that a whole bunch, and so the 2022 decks were the first time that I got to actually do that. And 2022, in my opinion, there really wasn't really too many like standout cards that were really cool looking cards, like a Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, Umbreon, whatever. But those cards actually still did really well, breaking things down, selling the individual cards. The coin looks really good. That's been selling really well for me. There's a pin in there that also looks really good. Those have been selling really well for me. So yeah, that would be my answer. Those have been doing really well, breaking them down, selling the individual pieces. One note on that though that I wasn't quite expecting is there's a lot of dumb people on eBay who will purchase like the trainer cards from those decks, and shortly thereafter send me an eBay message. Oh, hey, I didn't realize you couldn't use World Championship cards in actual competitive play. I'm going to cancel this order. So that's one downside to them. But overall, I think it's a good play for plus EV if you're interested in selling those low end singles, which I know not a lot of people are. But if you are, those are good products.
I did do that quite a bit several years ago, and I remember just comping my prices off of Rusty, and probably there were probably some times where I undercut him, and then sometime later he undercut me back, and it was a pretty niche thing that not too many people did, but it historically there was always plus EV there. Just makes sense because like if a card, especially Tapu Lele, some of those cards that were getting pretty expensive, the Shamans from the earlier decks. You had Reshazard in some of them. I forget the exact years, but if the card is very playable, it gives like a cheaper way for a player to get like it's kind of an interesting situation because it's almost like a legitimate proxy instead of having to print it out from their printer. They're getting like a Pokemon sanctioned official proxy, not legal to play at Worlds, not legal to play in actual tournaments, but you still get the ability to like try it out in a deck. And I'd imagine it's something people do, but people probably buy those products to just like, hey, I'm going to be the second place guy, and I'm going to see if I can beat the first place guy's deck. You play the first place deck, I play the second place deck. So it's a pretty interesting product. Just a pretty cool thing they've done for quite a while. And some of the earlier decks, some of the earlier cards like Jolteon Gold Star, some of those cards go for quite a bit now PSA graded because no one ever really had the thought for it. But yeah, interesting. I'd kind of forgotten about those. I did buy some, but I didn't break down for this year. I do have a decent stash of them somewhere, though. But yeah, you want to touch on our segment that we had forgotten about. We're not going to do it during weeks that we have guests because we'd rather focus on the guest, Q&A with them with the chat. But we will do it in the off guest weeks when it's just Nick and I. So yeah, let everyone know, remind them what Pokey Martin's idea was.
Yeah, so back a couple of weeks ago, Pokey Martin left a comment that I thought was a great idea. Basically, going over someone's eBay store and kind of reviewing it, give our thoughts on it, give any tips, tricks that we know of. So that's what our new segment is going to be. For the initial launch, which will be next podcast premiere, we'll do them at the end of each premiere. So for the next premiere, for the initial launch, me and Dan are going to be doing that to our own eBay stores. And for this one, I'm sure it's going to just turn into an absolute roast of each other's eBay stores. So that's definitely gonna be a fun one. But yeah, after that, moving forward, if you guys like the idea and want to kind of keep it going, we'll have you guys leave us a link to your eBay store, and we'll have some fun with it, roast you a little bit, and then also offer some constructive criticism and different things that we've learned, and to hopefully help you improve with eBay.
Yeah, I think that'll be a fun segment, and we really appreciate Pokey Martin, both the question that you left for this episode and then that suggestion that we completely forgot. But with that, I think that covers everything, and I think we can get you over to the live now. Anything else we're missing?
No, I think we're good.
So with that, we will send you right over to the live featuring Mr. Walrus, TCG.